Hello, brothers and sisters of the Briar. Professor Jeremiah here. I know it has been a while. Well, I've been in and out of the country a couple of times and had a lot of different things happening around, but I am here today because I just came in from the post office and I had noticed a question that one person had asked me on my channel, and I've had a couple of people ask me this question personally, even in desperate text messages. And the question is, what are you going to do about Sutliff closing? Well, that's a good question. I actually was in the rainforest a little ways out from Rio de Janeiro in a treehouse when I got the word. Now, I just hadn't been keeping up with the news lately, and I had a nice bowl packed and was smoking away when I received a message from a good friend of mine. And he wanted to know what was I going to do about Sutliff closing, or wanting to know if I'd heard the news. Well, I had not heard the news. That came as a bit of a shock. And I started to wonder what would become of my vanilla custard. Now, what am I smoking right now? I'm smoking my Thomas Harris Benu. This is one I've really not smoked as often. Had to go into the sarcophagus earlier to get it out. I have not only some tobaccos, but also have several pipes in the sarcophagus. I still need to do a little show sometime showing you what's inside there. But I'm smoking some Cary Grant. And that's my own label, not theirs. An English blend, but a little bit of aromatic thrown in there. I don't know, probably a lot of you are more well-informed. I would say probably most of you are probably more well-informed on the whole transition and the takeover of Sutliff and them closing their doors and when that will happen and what blends will still be available. That did come with some good news that there will still be a number of our favorite blends available. But, you know, anytime in the pipe community when we lose a blend, even if it was a blend that you didn't smoke, it's a little hard. You know, you're going to miss blends even if it was one that you didn't smoke. I didn't smoke Prince Albert much. I did smoke some Carter Hall, but when we started hearing, that we were going to lose these blends, these really standards of the old days, that kind of sent some shockwaves through the community, didn't it? And it sent a desperate kind of reach for people trying to gather up these blends that they may have never even smoked before. But what would happen with Sutliff's blends? And it is a question. I'm not sure some of you will know this. I don't know this right off. I haven't even spent the time in researching. But what will happen with the Kramer blends? I don't know if Sutliff was producing those or not. I thought they were, but I noticed that all of a sudden Father Dempsey was unavailable on smokingpipes.com. So I don't know what the full situation there is. You could still get, as a few days ago, you still could get Cary Grant, you still could get Danny Kaye, but I still did not see any Father Dempsey, and that's a favored blend. The Kramer blends, probably Father Dempsey's my more favorite blend there. And then I would say it's kind of Danny Kaye, the Cary Grant. It just depends on the mood that I'm in at the time. But you all know that I'm going to probably smoke bare minimum 2 bowls a day of my vanilla custard. So what did I do about that? Well, when I received the message from my friend, I quickly went to the website and placed an order. Now, right off the bat, creme brulee was gone. Now, they must have come back a little bit, but that was yesterday that I thought I would check it again, and I was able to get 8 ounces. They said they had 12 ounces. I got 8 ounces. And I went in planning on buying a couple of pounds. But let me show you what I ended up getting. Now, I haven't opened this box. I just brought it in straight from the post office. Not too heavy, but it got the tar beat out of it. You can already see the sides split open. I hope everything's there. Look at that. Well, let's just dive in this way. I didn't even realize the side was split open that bad. No fancy knives at the desk. This is just what I use as my letter opener. It was one of my grandfather's little pocket knives. Well, a pound of rum and maple. I don't know if they're going to still be making this one or not. As I say, I know a lot of you are going to be more well-informed than I am. I don't think I have any more of this in stock here other than a bag that's already open. So what you're going to see, the rest of, I probably have a fair amount open. So vanilla custard. Now, I was told they're going to keep making vanilla custard. But again, another vanilla custard. They're going to be making it, though, probably in a different factory. And I think it comes back to a lot of times, these blends, vanilla custard. I think I kind of went a little crazy on the vanilla custard. But at that time, I didn't know whether they'd still be making it or not, vanilla custard. This bag's not sealed as well, so it'll be the first to open. Rum and maple. So I did get 2 pounds of that. I couldn't remember. It's been a few weeks. Vanilla custard. I think it's 6 pounds of vanilla custard, if I'm not mistaken. And if we didn't lose one along the way, vanilla custard. And that may have been it. Unless we lost something. I'll have to check the packing slip because that bag was pretty beat up. But what will happen? That's the question. And I have to say, you know, I was criticized for years about having a lot of tobacco on hand. And I was criticized for buying tobacco every time it was a Black Friday sale or goodness, my mind's slipping, a International Pipe Smoking Day sale. I would always purchase then because it was when they had the discounts offered. And people said, why are you buying so much? Why are you hoarding tobacco? Well, because I said, when I'm buying it today, it's never going to be this cheap again. This is the lowest price we're going to see it, probably. We're never going to really see the price of tobaccos go down, and we're only going to see it increase. And now I think that Sutliff is closing, and a lot of our production, not all of our production, but a lot of it is moving now to Europe. We're going to see those prices go up. I hope I'm wrong. I don't mean to be the doomsdayer, but better to err on the side of caution. And I don't want to create a run on the tobacco industry, but I like to know that I have the blends that are my favorite. I still think that a part of what really made some of the McQuillan blends so good was just the conditions that they were produced under. I think of the old story of the pizza parlor in New York City, and they decided that they would start branching out and opening up restaurants in other cities. They had the same dough, everything was the same in their producing of the pizza, but it tasted different in the other cities. And over time, they discovered that it was the water that they were using to make the dough with in New York City. I don't know about the water in New York City, but apparently it did make these pizzas have a better taste to them than what it did in the cities where they went. So you sometimes have to wonder, you know, is the weather conditions of the city where the tobacco is made, maybe the temperature of the city, maybe the temperature of the warehouse, or maybe the old flavor of the warehouse even, or the water. in the city. We just don't know. And it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. You know, we're the ones that lose out of this. We're losing a lot of blends that are favored blends. Will they still be making Old Professor? That was one that I was ready to buy a lot of pounds of. It's one of my favorite English blends. I would say, do have to say, Mary Monk really took the number one slot there. I love Mary Monk, and it has become a fast favorite. Old Professor, for me, was the next favorite blend that I had of an English blend. And then, of course, Kramer's Father Dempsey, which I mentioned. But if I can't get Old Professor, this is going to be pretty heartbreaking. So, where will it lead us? What will we end up doing? It's going to be interesting to see the impact that another closure will have on our community, on our hobby, if you will. I never really liked calling it a hobby because I just smoked a pipe. I didn't know it was a hobby until I started hearing that on our favorite podcast there. But, it's going to be interesting to see the impact it has. McClellan's closing, it had a personal impact. A lot of my favorite tins really came out of their factory, and I didn't realize how much tobacco I smoked that came from them until they were gone. And now, with Sutliff closing, or being closed, it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts and changes things. A lot of places are slowing on their bulk tobacco or jar blends. That was the thing that I noticed when I was just in Rio de Janeiro. I went to my local tobacconist there, the one that I frequent the most. And when I went in, their jars, they were no longer set up on a tobacco bar, but were over like on a bookshelf off to the side. But this time, they were nowhere to be seen. And behind the counter, there were several small envelopes of tobacco, about the size of like a Captain Black pouch. Not very good plastic that they're sealed up in. I'm sure that even a pouch of Captain Black probably holds the moisture better than the ones which they were selling. So, already seeing that change there. And we know that the world is not really today friendly to pipe smokers, or tobacco smokers, I should say. Pipe smokers, I've still to this day never had a complaint. Came pretty close to one this time in Rio. I was smoking my pipe out in a little park area, and a lady walked by and started coughing. Just didn't have anything to do with my smoke. She's just doing it to aggravate, because she did the same thing to a person smoking a cigarette a little ways down the path. And yet, in just a few more minutes, here came another lady with her friends, and when she saw me smoking my pipe, she gives me a really big smile and a thumbs up, and just, must have triggered some childhood memories probably there, thinking of her grandfather or her father or something. But, we're a rare breed these days, yet at times I hear more people picking up a pipe and joining in with us. I was at a conference this past Monday, and I had a person walk up to me and ask me, "Do you smoke a pipe?" And I didn't know at first. I'm like thinking, well, they're asking kind of around a couple of people that I have not just broadcasted that I smoke a pipe to. And I said, yes. And I said, why do you ask it? They said, well, I've been picking one up lately. And so, there's another new person coming in, but I thought it was interesting. I said, what made you ask me that question? They said, well, it just looks like you would smoke a pipe. So, well, I do. But brothers and sisters, I don't know. I don't know if where this is going to leave us in the pipe smoking world, but we'll see. Well, this is my Tom Spinu pipe with my Danny K. My Cary Grant. And as I say, I know I've been off station for a little while with you. Hopefully, I can get back into the swing of things. All of last year, I was doing a video a day, doing a brief Bible commentary. And that took up a lot more time than I had planned on, and just was great in and of itself. I can put the link to that channel down in the bucket below if you would like. And right now I'm starting to work on a study through the book of Luke, and then we'll go into the book of Acts. I was not able to stay up with the book of Luke the past few weeks the way I would have liked to have done because my internet was not very good in Rio this time. So that has hindered the work there a little bit. So I went from a week of some of the hottest weather that Rio had seen in the year. We were in 100-degree weather to coming back here to the freezing cold. So thankfully, my body, I didn't catch a cold. A lot of times that happens, especially being on the airplane and the sudden change in temperature. But the Lord spared me of that this time. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for tuning in and watching this. And I look forward to seeing what some of your comments are. As I say, I know that I'm not near as well informed on the whole Sutliff ordeal as probably many of you are. I only caught a couple of videos on it when I was thinking, is this for real? And yes, it is. And the news must have just come out right after our pipe club in Birmingham for December, because nobody there was talking about it at that time. And I know had the news have been out, they would have already been talking about it. But as you can see, I got a little bit of a stockpile. I won't be running out of vanilla custard anytime soon. That's not the only vanilla custard that I have. And I do still have some Father Dempsey. I don't know how much, maybe at least 1 pound of it. But there's a lot of blends that we're going to be missing out on. And it's going to make some of my To Smoke Every blends a little different, because I may be now reviewing some blends that aren't going to be made anymore. I know I've already done that before, but it's just sort of as a one-off. But there's going to be a lot, I think, that we're going to lose, and that's really a shame, a real shame. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope everything's going well for you, and till next time, God bless.